Fnatic got the win with a strong performance in Game 3. We're going to send it over to the post-game lobby to break it down.
Thank you very much, Pyra, and welcome to the post-game lobby where we will take a look back at our first day here in week number 2. Before we do, we're just waiting for an interview to get set up. And gentlemen, Fnatic have now joined an elite group of teams who've taken down G2 Esports in a best-of series on European soil. They joined Rocket as the only other European squad in the last year to take down G2. What a series, guys. I mean, Fnatic put out their mind, Henning.
Yeah, really playing well there here in Game 3, going back to the roots in Game 1. And I think what's so interesting is that everyone knows their style. Everyone knows this is what they're going to be doing. Play the Shen, get the picks with the Reckless, and they're still able to pull it off, even though G2 knows exactly what's coming their way.
Yeah, before we talk about the early game, let's take a look at that final fight that sealed the deal here for Fnatic. I mean, catching out Perks as Lucian, who really just had a very difficult game all game long, Vedius.
I'm really impressed with just how Fnatic were able to play. Like, bear in mind that Reckless had a 4-level advantage over his AD carry counterpart. The two main carries were just doing what they were supposed to do, dealing damage to the enemy team. G2 just didn't stand a chance.
No, definitely didn't. Henning, let's step back now, all right? The excitement is starting to settle down. How did Fnatic win the game overall? Because it kind of felt like they were in control for a large portion of it.
Yeah, they kind of went back to the roots like what they did in game number 1. And Reckless being able to find these picks so consistently, it's what impressing me, because as we said, he's up against the kings of Europe and he's still able to find the picks over and over. And G2 don't really know what to do against it.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising. The Shen, Kennen combo caught them again, Vedius.
The thing that fascinated me was it felt like a repeat of exactly what we saw in game 1, where the bottom lane of G2, they went for something a little bit more scaling orientated, and they never got to a point where we saw that actually come into fruition. They lost pressure in the mid after Perks ended up dying in a 1v1, thanks to the assistance of Broxer. Yeah. But also, it was simply a matter of Fnatic sticking to what they know. They played exactly the same style they did in game 1, and G2 seemed to fall for exactly the same traps. So I just feel that, to me, G2 was saying, we know how to play against this. We feel confident. We had a bad game 1. We'll be better prepared. And Fnatic said, no, no, we're going to kill you. And that's exactly what they did.
That is what they did. I want to talk a little bit more about the series in a moment. Fnatic are very happy after their win. Let's actually see what Broxer has to say about the series.
Thank you, EpicSkillshot. All right, he said happy, but let's hear it from you. How does it feel to take down G2?
It feels completely amazing to beat G2. I think it was my 3rd series against them, and especially the last series was really close, and we had a lot of chances to actually win it. So after that, we were really looking to win today and get our revenge. Obviously, it's the team everyone's looking to beat in Europe, so beating them feels amazing.
Now, I'm curious, what was the difference between this series that you guys played today and the series that you've played in the past where you haven't quite been able to take down G2?
I'm not sure. I mean, we've just been, getting closer, getting more time together, kind of working a bit more on our style. And I think, just getting to know each other better and getting more synergy going has been really helpful. And we've been looking at the mistakes we made in the past and tried to make sure we didn't do the same thing again today.
Learning as you go. So I'm curious, how important is that team synergy, that communication in the style that you guys are trying to show us on stage today?
I think with the style we play, we rely a lot on playing individual champions, individual plays, and it requires a lot of coordination. So being able to work together is definitely really important. And I think it has showed already the split that we are for surely getting better at it as well.
Definitely has. Taking down G2 is a pretty clear indicator that things are getting better. Now, we hear from Fnatic players all the time. We ask you about Fnatic's goals. Now, Worlds, everybody's eyes are set on it, but I want to hear a little bit more about your personal goals as a jungler. What is the goal for you, Broxer, in terms of improvement in the future?
Well, I guess for this split, I have 2 goals myself. Obviously, first of all, we want to go to Worlds. Like, that's our goal as a team. But apart from that, I want to you know, show that I'm actually a really good jungler and that I should be respected. So I'm going to look to, you know, play well and show that I can be among the best junglers in Europe.
And for you, how do you know when you're going to reach that goal? What is the moment for you where you think, I have met that point, people respect me, people know not to mess with Broxa in the jungle? How do you kind of measure success there?
I mean, I guess it both depends on how well I play individually and how well we play as a team. Obviously, if, let's say we play really well in playoffs, I play well myself, then I'm not sure if I reached my goal already, but I'm slowly but surely getting there then. So hopefully we can just keep playing well and then we'll see what happens.
We will have to see in the weeks to come. Well, congrats again on your win over G2, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. For now, however, we are going to send it back to Trevor Quickshot Henry and the post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, Daniel Dracos, as we are back at the analyst desk, and Broxa, just great performance. And great to see continual growth, you know, in the spring split when Broxa came in to replace Amazing. There was a lot of doubts, a lot of question marks around this guy and what he was going to do. And throughout the last, call it 2 months, 3 months, he's gotten better. He's gone from, you know, play to play, and the team is evolving around him as well.
It's pretty staggering how when I was an amateur caster, this guy was playing in some of the UK events, right? Like this guy was playing in some of the challenger teams. Like that was a long time ago, and then he went from challenger to LCS to competing against the best jungler in Europe. Like this guy has made phenomenal progress in a single split. And just demonstrates the amount of focus and hard work that he's put into perfecting his craft.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He actually won the first Ragnarok as well, so he's been in a lot of these sort of regional scenes for a while. And now, just as you said, shows so much potential in a short time and improving really quickly. I think, yeah, you gotta say he's one of the big junglers in Europe.
It's very exciting to see the whole team evolving. You know, Fnatic going to that bootcamp, minus Reckless coming back, looking better. We're seeing growth from last week to this week in the games against stronger opponents. It's quite exciting. Let's look at the series as a whole. G2 and Fnatic, they gave us a very exciting 3-game series in this top-tier matchup. Let's see how this developed, going all the way back to game 1. Vedius, I'm going to ask you again to just tell me how bad this play was from G2.
I was very vocal about how I feel that G2 could have predicted and better planned out how they dealt with the level 6 Shen play, but you still have to give credit to the way in which Fnatic executed, because this is a composition that they have time and time again made work for them, and you can just see how well they have been able to refine this style, and the fact that it was able to work against G2 just demonstrates the amount of skill that they have developed with it.
We see here in Game 2, though, G2 adapted well to what was Fnatic's playstyle. They targeted Soaz, he was not able to get a lot done, and this Shen kind of getting shut down, which also led to Reckless not being able to go for these sort of aggressive plays that he has been preferring to go for.
And of course, that was the game that broke the 7-game win streak that Reckless had accrued on the Kennen. It didn't matter, because after that, we jumped into game number 3, where G2 go, Shen, Kennen, we've got an answer. It doesn't matter. We'll just let it through. But they fall prey again in the same series. Slightly different circumstances, of course, but interesting to see the same mistakes from a team that actually is pretty good at fixing mistakes.
We also got to see Caps delivering in this mid lane matchup, right? Like, that's what I was super excited about. The fact that right at the start of the day, Hanning, you were saying, I want to see like Fizz, I want to see Castan, I want to see them killing each other. And that's what we got. They were killing each other all the time. Sure, there was a couple of junglers meddling here and there, but the 2v2 action is something that I can still be happy with, because in the majority of instances, it was actually Caps that was coming out on top of the King. And I think that was really impressive, because in the past, yes, we did see Caps get a couple of solo kills onto Perks, but then that was when Perks was in, like, a slump. You know, he was working on his other things. He was saying that his mechanics have suffered, and then he goes up against Faker, he bodies Faker at MSI, and then he comes back and you expect him to have that same level of mechanics. And sure, Perks was good, but Caps today, to me, felt better.
Yeah, I just gotta agree with Vedius there. Caps showed up big time. Also gotta remember Perks had these medical issues, had this...
That's true. Maybe I'm a little hard.
Wasn't able to practice as much as he would have liked to, but still, really good play from Caps, and I like how the teams adapted the pick and ban phase. I think banning out Orianna in the last game was really good, and then picking up the Cassio into the Lucian, which worked out well.
We talked a lot about mid laners, you know, at the beginning of the series, hype, expectation, baby Faker versus, you know, the lane kingdom Perks god. What about AD carries, right? Reckless, he got his Kennen. He was allowed to play Kennen against Sven. Had a great game on Twitch in game 2, but then got smashed as Pugmore in game 3. What's your take on Sven versus Reckless, Henning?
It's got to be pretty clear. I'm a bit sad if Fishy isn't here, actually, because it's obvious to everyone who's the superior here when it comes to Sweden versus that irrelevant country in the south. I don't know. Look at the kill share here. 47% for Reckless. That means he's getting half of his team's kills.
That's not half. Half is 50%, but I get the point, okay? I get the point you're trying to make. I am going to announce right now that actually player of the series is going to be Reckless. The team played around him. They rallied behind him. It's a comp and a strategy we've seen many times before. Vedius, what do you take on this? I mean, Kennen, should he be allowed to play it?
Stop giving the man cannon. I think that, sure, G2 did adapt in game 2, and I think that if you're going to give him Kennen, just don't give him Shen or Galio or anything else that's really good at keeping him alive, literally from the other side of the map. Because when this guy gets an opportunity to go off in the early game, man, does he go off? This guy, sure, he may have slumped a little bit last split. There were times where he was feeling down, but I feel like coming into this split, he is rejuvenated and he is playing out of his mind.
I'm really excited at the potential of this Fnatic squad, and we do have to take into consideration that G2 were a little bit under practice, but that doesn't remove the fact that Fnatic won here. Their victories in game 1 and 3, very clear, pretty strong at the end of the day. I think that does it for G2 versus Fnatic. I want to take a look at Misfits and exactly how they managed to take down the Ninjas in Pajamas a little bit earlier today. It was a pretty dramatic series. Not necessarily the cleanest, Henning. We were watching that from backstage here, and it was fun.
It was fun watching this, even though my prediction got all wrong. Misfits showed up with some good macro play. What I did like from NiP, though, is that they did not just fall over and accepted a loss. They really tried to go for the plays until the last moment.
I just thought it was a fun series. Like, not only was it fun to cast, the fact that we did get to see some cool outplay stuff from NIP. We saw Shook getting a bunch of cool steals. Nagne again having good moments on the Talia. And I think Thrall also, like, he had a number of impressive hooks on his Thresh. Like, he made a pretty, except for when he threw a Lantern into a wall. Like, forget about that. Like, aside from that, there are a lot of good individual performances at times. I still think there's a lot of work that needs to be done for NIP, but overall, Misfits looked convincing game 1. And then, like, the issues returned from spring where they were like, hey, we have a really good early game. And then they come to the mid and late. And in the past, they were really slow. They didn't know how to properly close out. But this time they were like, let's take a gamble. Let's try. And then they just gave pick after pick after pick. And then NIP were like, we will take that free gold and we will use it against you. And they nearly won the game.
The thing is, this is a series that you walk away from and you go, there are so many things that we could have done better, right? There's so many things that could have been interesting. NIP, they are not an easy win. All of the series that we've seen, they have pretty good individual players. They're maybe making mixed calls.
Game two,
mixed
man.
Calls. However, I can't forgive that final call from NIP.
I know, right?
No minions to work with. They try to backdoor. I mean, Henning, that's never going to work.
Yeah, we have Hikyu on his Ash pops. The Mercurial Scimitar went running towards the last Nexus tower just for the hell of it. I don't know, just trying to put down the tower, and there's
all that went through NIP, like, they lost the Baron and they go, Leroy Jenkins! And they went for the ending, right? Like, that was...
The problem is you can't Leroy Jenkins, you have no damage. I'm actually glad you bring up Hikyu. I want to move away from the series, of course, and talk a little bit more about some of the trends. Hikyu had some interesting itemization, in my opinion. I felt he went Blade of the Rune King, Phantom Dancer, more of Malmortius, and Mercurial Scimitar. I'm not sure I can think of a more defensive AD carry build without adding a GA. Maybe it's the next item. What do you think?
Maybe that was his last item, I don't know. But yeah, going for double MR here in a game where you're up against a Rumble Orianna, there's no way you as Ashe are going to be tanking the shockwaves if you position correctly. So I think this double MR build is just Hikyu saying that he's not confident in his positioning.
I feel like, though, you can give him a slight benefit of doubt in the sense that he had... If I remember correctly, he did have a Jace on the team, and he also had a Talia.
Yep.
So, like, there's quite a lot of damage output, but when you are very likely to get into the later stages of the game, like, you want that Infinity Edge out. You want the Last Whisper. You want these high damage dealing items because you're Ashe. You're a hyper carry. That's what you've been known for years, and when it gets to really late into the game, you can shred through so many members.
You can't with this build, though.
No, you can't.
Because Ignor's support Galio tanked about 25 auto attacks. Just stood there and was like, well, I'm not really worrying about this. What about some of the other items? I don't want to tunnel too hard on this one Ashe build, but we talked a lot about sort of Ninja Tabai. Henning, you actually had a quote earlier today about how Ninja Tabai nerfed on this patch. It opens up some options. But what about other items? Other builds? Reckless is addicted to Frozen Mallet. We're seeing a whole lot of that Cog Rageblade build, which helps with tank shredding. So give me some insights.
Yeah, what we're seeing with the Frozen Mallet on Reckless is pretty much, he's the almost the only one building it, and it's because he plays his own style. Most AD carries, as we saw Sven in that last game, just sit at the back of the fight, get the shields, and they try to put down damage from a long range. Reckless goes up in your face, tries to catch out, and then Frozen Mallet helps a lot. So it's adapting to his playstyle.
A part of me thinks it's because he knows people like to kill him. So if you have a little bit more HP, makes it harder to kill him. But also, I feel like as an AD carry, he's one of the few in Europe that acts as an active split pusher, right? He is someone that regularly goes off into a side lane, and a Frozen Mallet is a very split push effective item. Not only does it help you stick onto your targets, but it also gives you a little bit more health and ability to trade back and forth. So when he does go off into these little Fnatic brushes where he sits in the death brush waiting for an opportunity, I think it does contribute and also gives you a bit of AD to add to your burst. So I think it makes sense in the style that Reckless likes to play.
Yeah, when split pushing against a melee champion, obviously the slow is going to be very helpful as well to be able to kite away, which we saw him do a very good job in that last series.
One of the items that I would have liked to seen more of is the Death Dance.
Okay.
I think that it's a pretty good item right now in the current meta, and champions like Jarvan can actually get a lot of benefit out of it. Same for like Fiora too, a champion that's been recently picked up a lot into the tanks in the top half of the map. We've actually seen her banned away quite regularly in Europe. I think it's just an item that is a little bit underutilized right now, especially when we are still seeing Graves jungle. It could be a perfect item for him to be picking up. Yeah. So I think that there are still some items that teams maybe haven't figured out the full power of yet, or maybe I'm just overvaluing its contribution.
It's one of those things we have to keep tracking, right? 7-11 today, first couple of games here in EU, so we'll see how that continues to progress throughout the week. Let's move on to another topic that, you know, I don't really want to talk about, but I have to. What the hell happened to EU Barons? We've been famous for Baron dances for a long time, right? And I accept that. But what was going on here?
Well, this was a really good one. This is the Misfits
the only one, maybe.
Yeah, the only good one. Yeah. The Misfits had really good vision. You can see in your mini-map how they were able to find a pick. They had full control. And this is how you take a Baron. This is not how you take a Baron, where you go for a 50-50 play, there are little to no wards on the map, you try to go for a gamble and you say, we need gold, let's go for it, and then it just ends up collapsing all around you.
Yeah, we can just compare the vision control of the topside jungle for these Barons, the good one, and these ones that have been getting stolen away. We also saw that from Broxa here. This Baron play, I know you're not too big of a fan, Vidius.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the whole G2 going for the Baron and being like, let's get it to 2000 HP and then leave. Like, if you're going to either bait the enemy team in or just hard commit to the Baron, you have to make one decision or the other, not kind of back away, hope they get drawn in, and then literally open the door being like, hey, we're going to leave. I'm going to leave this door open to my house. If you want to rob it, I will not stop you.
Oh, good Lord! Please don't take the Baron.
From the back garden. You know, it's like...
I'd also, like, I know we are like picking on this a little bit. Baron plays always tend to get better in the split. We saw it in spring as well. Teams need to wrap their heads around it, get used to the scenarios and the situations. But it was very comical, the number of times Baron plays went a little bit awry today. All right, so that's that for the Baron side. Let's take a quick look at the standings in group number A. What's an A?
Group number A.
Number
Fnatic. They obviously hold that lead with 3 series wins, and they've added a loss to the G2 esports column today, Vidius.
How exciting. We've got a big shift up over in Group A, because remember in spring it was G2 Misfits Fnatic, and our Fnatic rather have been able to overthrow both Misfits, who seem to be under the weather right now, along with G2, who this is not the strongest G2 we've ever seen, but it's still a big wing which will contribute heavily when it comes to those playoffs later on.
Yeah, extremely important. I mean, the next time that G2 Fnatic will play, I believe, is week 7 or week 8, so it's a long time away. Heading Group A, at the top of the day, we talked about standings. You said expectations, no surprise. Today's results, you got 1 prediction right, 1 prediction wrong, so you have to be at least half surprised.
A bit of, yeah, half surprised. You can say that. I guess that kind of makes sense. No, but still looking at the standings in Group A, it's pretty much going as expected. G2 Fnatic, though, it's going to be a really tight race for the top spot, and I think this win for Fnatic is not only very important for the standings, but also for the mental game.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, let's take a look at the teams from Group B. They'll be hitting the roof tomorrow, starting with Splice, who will take on Vitality. And then, of course, Mysterious Monkeys versus UOL. So let's talk about the Group B teams here. Splice, Vitality, going to be an interesting game. Measure the strength of Splice, how well they're going to do against Vitality, who should be the underdogs in this matchup. And then Mysterious Monkeys, well, look, anything other than being stomps is going to be a win because UOL heavy, heavy favorites.
The thing I'm excited about for tomorrow is, number one, we get to see the power gap between Splice and Vitality.
Okay.
Is it so big that Splice are in the same situation where they were in last split, which is they had a comfortable third and Vitality was struggling to stay out of relegation? Or will they both be contenders for that third place spot behind HK and UOL? The other thing I'm excited for is to watch a monkey fight a unicorn, because I've never seen that before, and I think it will be really exciting to have a mythical versus a non-mythical creature go at it head-to-head.
You know, I think I encourage this childish behavior. What do you think about the matchups tomorrow?
Really looking forward to the first one in particular. I think that's two teams that really want revenge after week number 1. Of course, the upper hand kind of has to go to Splice, but there are a lot of important lane matchups as well that I'd like to see. Specifically, the top lane matchup tomorrow I think is going to be really interesting.
And what do you think about meta-wise? Splice, they've had some fun picks and bans. Do you think we're going to see more experimentation from them, for example, or 7-Eleven, more of the same from today?
I think Splice has the deeper champion pools and definitely the ability to go for the unorthodox kind of plays right there. So I'm expecting some cool stuff to come out of Splice, yes.
All right, we'll have to see how they do. So, first of all, thank you very much, guys. That does it for us here. Time to call it a night from Berlin. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for some more action on the